What is something you know but you're not supposed to know? My great-grandparents were also brother and sister. I don't want to believe it, but I totally do. That my not married to my dad mother enjoys threesomes. She's not the most tech-savvy person in the world and accidentally posted a threesome request publicly on Facebook. Grandma liked your post. That's my girl. That my mom and I make the same sounds when we climax. I really need to move out. And my parents really need to learn to close doors. 2 things. 1. My dad watches porn while myself or other family members, but not mum, are literally a few feet away. He thinks he's good at hiding it, but has sometimes literally pointed the screen partially my way so I can see it, without realizing. The couches we sit on are next to each other but at different angles. Think an L shape. And hurriedly closes his tablet when someone enters the room. Not exactly subtle. Dad. Also know what kind he's into, cause he never used to delete his history on the old family computer, and I once had to help him download an app on his tablet. Typed in one letter into the search bar and up came a URL that I hastily pretended I didn't see. Creeps me the hell out. 2. How dangerously close my parents are to divorcing. Overheard them talking in the living room one night, my bedroom's downstairs, about how my mum apparently set up a different bank account without my dad's knowledge. How my dad won't be intimate with her anymore cause now he knows she doesn't want like it. I was devastated back then. Now, I kinda wish it will happen just cause of how damaged their marriage actually is. A family member is HIV positive, doesn't want rest of family to know. When he broke down and told my mom, I overheard, she has and he has no idea I know. That my uncle's son is not his son. His then wife was banging her cousin and boom, baby. To this day, my cousin doesn't know and treats his dad, who raised him, as if he were his own and had never said a word about it to anyone but me, like because of the lies his mother spread about him. I kind of want to tell him to do a DNA test so that he'll know and maybe, just maybe, realize his mother isn't the saint she made herself out to be. Edited to add, he knows his son isn't his because he is completely infertile. That my mother slept with several of the men in the neighborhood during the time my dad was very ill and literally dying. I was accidentally given access to all salaries for a large hospital. Finding out some doctors made $80,000 and others $800,000 was pretty eye-opening. That my ex is adopted. When we were long distance, I used to call her phone directly using Skype for free from another country. One time her mom video called her laptop in the middle of our conversation to check up on her and stuff. My ex went to the bathroom and I heard the mom's mom ask her when she was gonna tell her she was adopted. That my mom tried to have CPS take my daughter from me when she was born by claiming I used while I was pregnant. I was 9 years clean. She tried again when I was diagnosed with cancer. You would be amazed to see what doctors actually put in your medical records. That my dad wrote several suicide notes. The kind of porn my dad liked when I was still living at home, and one of his Google searches was the brothel of a city he was visiting for a business trip. He wasn't very good at hiding this stuff. Never told anyone and probably never will. Funny story, when my dad had a stroke and I went to see him at the hospital, the first thing he said was, please just throw my computer out if I die. He's better now. Spent a day getting drunk with my father, who I'm not that close with and hasn't really been involved in my life much even though he lives one street away from me. Found out that the true reason that my parents split when I was 2 years old was due to my mother sleeping with my father's brother while my father was in prison. Also learned that my father used to beat my mother. They both used to do and shady and also learned that my father had the chance to have joint custody of me, but he didn't bother going to the several court dates that were made to settle the matter. The last one hurt the most to learn. You can learn a lot of secrets when you get people drunk, but some things should just be left buried. My supervisor is really close to getting fired. Upper management isn't supposed to talk about it, but they do, probably because we'd all quit if we thought she was staying. She sucks. A lady at my work, who everyone hates, was caught stealing company money after literal years of suspicion. The news hasn't gone public at work yet, but I know she'll be fired soon. I'm a numbers guy who is good friends with HR people. My dad had cancer. The family thought I didn't need to know that since I was in college. My mom had a child out of wedlock and gave him up for adoption. This was the early 70s. I have a copy of a private investigative report on criminal conduct that the local DA unsuccessfully sued for to use in a criminal complaint. As a result, the subject of the report is still practicing because he was acquitted. I legally can't do a thing with it even though I know he's still working with young people. That when my mother was pregnant, teenage pregnancy, with me, she drank and did because she never wanted to be pregnant with me and was planning on leaving my dad, which she did a year after she had me. She went to an abortion clinic but couldn't go through with it. She doesn't know I know and I will never tell her I know. I didn't find out until well into my adulthood and hold no hate for her. Regardless of what she did when she was young, she raised me the best she could and gave me and my older sibling everything she could and was a hard-working mom. The restaurant I worked at had some pretty solid sweet potato fries. They come frozen in a bag. Everyone thinks we make it in-house. Just tonight, my friend who I haven't seen in a long time invited me to get drinks after work, then cancelled because she was too tired. I found the photos a few minutes ago of her and some mutual friends out for drinks. So apparently I wasn't invited and she found a better option. She didn't realize I'd see the pictures. My dad has been growing some apparently fantastic weed for over 50 years now. That's how he made car payments when he was unemployed for a few years. Even though he could have worked but didn't. He's got a lot of nice things that are above his employment level. Didn't register why until mom told us who used to be her supplier when she was in her hippie days. Last I checked, years ago, he had the trust of numerous private landowners and the keys to the gates. They let him build and maintain feed plots for deer and turkey, so he can have his own private hunting land and be out on his own. But I'm pretty sure I know how he pays and is paid now. Real country. This place. Fenced off gates to roads you have to go on foot through thick foliage. To get around the gate that's blocking the only road in. Good 10 miles from the nearest police station. Some of those plots. As close as he is to the sheriff. I'm pretty sure he gets from the law for various reasons. My dad, this boring loner who's never been in trouble in his life. A real square who married a free love hippie. A weed outlaw. Mom and dad always have sex 3 times a week on Monday, Wednesday and Friday 7 p.m. or after work. I might be a year older than I and everyone else have been made to believe. I was flipping through an old baby book of mine that I found when my family was moving and found an ultrasound dated in August the year before I was born, with my name written above it. My birthday is in September and the baby in the picture was very developed, so there's no possible way it's just an early ultrasound. On one hand, my mom is mentally ill and always had attachment issues with me growing up. I know she had issues getting pregnant and treated me like she had to protect me with her life when I was little. It would make sense that she would want me in the house with her for an extra year. I also developed really early, learned to read and write months before everyone else my age, and got my period when I was 10, not super uncommon but still on the early side. On the other hand, this seems like an extremely difficult and illegal thing to do. There are other possible explanations. Maybe the ultrasound date was misprinted, or maybe my mom had a miscarriage. That would be another thing I wasn't supposed to know though. That my superior officer, who's a is cheating on his wife of I think 15 years with the female patrol sergeant in our police department. I could literally ruin his life if I wanted to. Everyone basically hates him anyway, but still I haven't built up the nerve to face him. But if he's being a I might tell him that I know that'll shut him up for a bit. My dad killed himself almost 20 years ago. At the time my mum told me it was because he was having gay affairs with people and he couldn't live in that sinful lifestyle anymore. Turns out she cheated on him, and that was what sent him over the edge. I only know this because I was finally able to read a copy of his note last year. How my parents met. Mom was a stripper and dad just happened to go there. My dad told me that my mom has embezzled a lot of money from the places she used to work. They both also did My dad claimed he did it for recreation and could stop any time. Mom was different, and he said she had to have it. This explains her fits of rage growing up. I asked Dad how Mom never got caught and he wouldn't give any more details. When my dad died, the pastor of my mom's church spoke and talked about how devastating cancer is. That pastor used to attend a different church, but had to leave after she faked cancer for 2 years. Her husband left her and her daughter disowned her after they found out. My mom was the secretary at that church, so she knew, and had already told me, and my dad's funeral was only like 2 years after that. I would have walked up to the podium and punched her in the face were it not disrespectful to my parents.